Welcome to Feliciano Friends. It's Christina Feliciano with my friend Brandon Floyd. He is the owner of Level Up Fitness and also author of Believe and Conquer. And he's going to tell us all about what he's overcome and how he's become so successful about fitness in his book. And thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What made you realize initially that fitness and working out was your purpose?
Well, it started when I was a kid.
Okay.
Growing up, playing sports and having to really be, I would say, competitive. It started
And what
from
sports did you play growing
football,
up?
basketball,
Okay.
track, stunted for my mom's cheerleading team.
Okay, I was going to say.
In the country, we did everything.
Oh my
We
goodness.
were bored a lot, so I tried a lot. I tried.
You did cheerleading stuff?
Excelled in quite a few.
Where the country for you?
North Carolina, small
Okay.
inlet town called Lumberton.
Okay.
Below Lumberton is a town called Fairmont. 3 stoplights.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
oh wow.
so-
So what part of like North Carolina?
It's eastern North Carolina. So
Okay.
you're probably about 45 minutes from Myrtle Beach. And by the way,
Okay.
Myrtle Beach was our Miami.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was our Miami when we grew up.
That's super
so.
cool. Oh, so when did you come to Florida?
I came here when I was about 23. I was playing football.
Okay, so did you play football here?
I played at East Carolina University. And
Okay.
my senior year, I lost my eligibility at East Carolina because the rules changed a lot.
Okay.
The NCAA then was not as flexible as it was now. And so I lost my eligibility for transferring into the school. And so a lot of my hours came from a private institution, so they came in as electives. As a long story short, I had to find schools that were in a different bracket than NCAA.
Like an NAIA?
NAIA.
That's what my late husband did that too.
Yeah, and I had to go to an NAIA school.
Okay, which NAIA school did you
I went
go?
to Edward Waters University.
Okay, that makes
and that's
sense.
how I ended
Yeah.
up staying down here.
Okay, that's interesting. That's exactly what. Yeah, my late husband had a similar story with. Yeah, people don't know that. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty awesome.
So, what is your degree in?
Health and fitness. I have 2 undergrads in teacher education and health and fitness education.
Oh, okay, very cool.
And also study a lot of exercise and physiology.
Oh wow! So you're like really educated in this. Did you ever teach? as well?
No, I never had a desire to teach.
I don't
Always a desire to retire.
Yeah.
One thing I'm like, well, I probably never teach school or at a collegiate level, but if I ever retire and I want some benefits, then maybe I'll go back and teach a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think about nursing.
Yeah, but it all correlates in what I do now.
Okay.
To be a good instructor, I think I'm not going to say I'm a good instructor. I'll let you be the judge if you took my class. But I would think that knowing and having a lot of background with different areas of teaching and in the health and fitness field constantly, it really helps.
And how has fitness changed in your so how's your view on fitness changed? And how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 41.
Okay, so we're close in age.
Yeah,
I'll be 43, but I'll just say we're close in age. So it's been like 20. You've been in this for over 20 years. So how has it evolved in the last 20 years?
I think that it has evolved because of social media too, and it has become to be more cosmetic. It's more so
like aesthetic, you mean?
Aesthetic.
Or but when you're saying cosmetic, you mean aesthetic?
Cosmetic, aesthetic, all the edits, right? All the edits,
I was
all the
trying to
edits
correct
you
you. I
can
was
think
making
of
sure that I
because
understood.
even with fitness, it's a whole deal, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the evolution it really.
So you're saying that people care more as opposed to like the health,
but that's
how they look.
Yes, but it's also there's different levels to what you're viewing in fitness, right? Because if you think about COVID-19 and post-COVID, after COVID-19. I noticed a trend in fitness that a lot of older people really became more engaged in their physical health as opposed to just
so
8
the younger
years
people
ago,
were just hitting the bottle, and the older people were like wanting to work out in COVID-19.
No, in COVID-19, you start wanting to be healthy. You started wanting to stay alive.
I thought most people were getting unhealthy.
No, you were getting unhealthy, and because it was taken away from you, you
got it. They were like, "No, I'm
gonna."
Okay,
correct. So after the COVID hit, and now you're rushing in the gym, you all of a sudden like people like I need to get healthy because if there's ever a pandemic, I don't want to, have to fight diseases and things of that nature. And that's, again, that could be wrong. That's just my theory.
No, for
from
sure.
watching different trends. So depending on what angle we'll be targeting fitness would be,
Yeah, so you think like with social media and everything that there's more of a emphasis on correct me if I'm wrong. So what I'm hearing from you is that people now are a little bit more motivated by the physicality of how they look.
Yeah, they are.
Than they used to be.
Yeah, they are because people are on camera more, and also people are also influenced more by influencers. Because as before, if you thought about the gym, you didn't know to go on Instagram or Facebook, and these ads never pop up. But now when you say or think about something, all of a sudden it's
right,
boom, boom, boom.
exactly.
So it gives you more confident, like, I can do this. You know what? I'm going to do it.
How long do you think, I'm going a little bit off the questions, but it's not going to be anything that you can't answer. How long do you think it takes physicality-wise to transform a body?
It depends on the person.
Okay.
It depends on the person, because I've had clients where I transform in 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some people where it takes about 4 to 6 months, depending on the person, depending on how their body's responding, and also what the transformation looks like.
Okay.
Do you want to become, I would say, skinny fat, or do you want to build a right muscle? Do you want to change the structure of your body, dynamically?
Yeah.
But when you talk about transformation within itself, it just depends on the person. Like I've dropped 20, 30 pounds on somebody in 30 days on several occasions, and I've also taken a year to do it. It just depends,
Okay, so it just has
now,
yeah, so that being said, does it have to do with the motivation of the person and how hard they're going to go?
I would think a little bit of everything, whether it's the motivation, whether it's the fear, whether it's the challenges that they may be facing, whether the body may be rejecting something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, when I think about transformation, it's not just taking a scale and you're
no,
just
100%.
losing weight.
No, for
you know
sure. No. It's not. I agree with you there.
Yeah, and I think about,
and...
also I think about 3 levels on it too. I think about
so what are the 3
the
levels
mind,
you
body,
think
and soul.
Okay.
Right? Transforming the mind, the body, and the soul. I think when those components are aligned,
I love that
you move at a very high level.
Let me ask you. So this is I have kind of a personal philosophy on it. What do you think the order is, mind, body, soul? Or I can tell you my opinion, and then you can interject if you want me to go first.
I think first and foremost, you have to kind of get your soul right. To get your soul right, that's not always mental. It's not.
No, I agree. I mean, especially as a Christian.
I think the soul always has to be right. But first and foremost, it's hard for me to categorize what's most important, because I'm a big believer.
No, it wasn't most important. My question was, do you think one, when you're making these changes, do you think one happens before the other? And I'll give you my opinion afterwards.
So I think it happens differently, because I remember times in my life where I had a spiritual encounter, and then all of a sudden this changed and that changed, and before I knew it, I was aligned, right? And I also remember times in my life to where mentally I was in a headspace that I couldn't get out of, right? And I'm like, I got to do something. So mentally, I made that decision to go ahead and do what I had to do, and then from there, the body aligned, and then the soul aligned. So then there's 3 components aligned. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? No. So literally, within 25 years of being in the industry, I'm weird because I pay attention to myself. And you're asking me questions that I actually pay attention to.
Yeah, no,
you know
what
I mean?
Yeah.
And so one thing that I've understood with that, based on the fact that each person's mind is different, and when I talk about differences, the way I think, your train of thought, what season are you in life? You know what I'm saying? Because you may be in a certain season in your life to where these things are most important in that season. Yeah. But there's no right or wrong way or perfect way to align those things.
No, I get that.
You know what I'm saying?
But I have an opinion, a pretty strong opinion, is that in our culture, and just our culture, and I come from a medical nursing background, nurse practitioner background, we're very into kind of the medical model, mental health, and let's just try to help the mental health. And I really believe that what you can control is, to some degree, maybe actionably what you're doing with your body to some degree, right? So I come from a school of thought, and Izzy knows just my patience, is that as opposed to feeling ready to work out or ready to do this, is what you're going to do is you're going to make a commitment, and you're going to every day, for example, I don't know, walk 10 minutes, lift, whatever it is, you're going to make this commitment. And if you start physicality wise making these changes, and then with those changes, so if you do, that's your whole livelihood. If you if you do certain things physicality wise, your body's going to change, right? That's just this formula. You lift this weight, you're going to get. So my thought though is, if you do that, once you start to basically lose weight, feeling your body better, the mind kind of follows. So not to wait for the mind to get right and be I don't care about the mind. You got to do this regardless of how you feel.
Now, when we talk about change itself, right? the number one thing as a health and fitness coach, whether it's in my industry, whether it's in your industry where you do the peptides or whatever the case may be, we always tell people, let's show up first.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's show up. You know, like if I'm feeling down, I'm feeling out, I'm feeling stressed out, the number one thing they say, go to the gym and get your body right.
Exactly.
Right? And that's that traditional way of doing it, more so than the correlational way, because I feel like fitness now is an arena within itself, which is why there's only like 5 or 10% of truly healthy people out there. Like now, I think it's way more now than what it used to be. I actually was just having that conversation earlier.
Is it, or do you think we're just surrounded them because it's our industry?
I don't know.
I think it might not.
I might have to ask ChatGPT, but
I think so. I honestly think so, because I think kind of like you, like we're way more healthy, but I think it might just be.
No, that's your like-minded circle.
Yeah, I think it might be,
overall,
honestly. Yeah, because then who knows? Yeah, we'll have to ask ChatGPT for sure, because I do think possibly.
Yeah, I mean, you think about you can just look at your business based upon like what you know people need, based upon how many people you got in the door doing it. Especially where they could take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? And like I go in my gym and throughout the years I've transformed thousands of people. That don't mean everybody's beating the door down to go make that change.
No,
but I definitely can agree with you on getting your body right. You know, I always tell people, if you're struggling with stress, if you are bogged down, then just make that decision to get to that gym. You know, but making that decision starts here in the mind.
No, for sure it does. So I mean, there is a part mental, but I guess, and I think this is also like cultural, because my mother is Swedish, and there's like a philosophy like with Swedish, or like Stoicism, and my mother and my like Isness is like, she my whole life was like, we do things regardless of feelings. So like, even though she's in pain, like, not that it's always the most positive, but almost like you can make a mental commitment and you do things despite of feelings. So if you're like, I'm going to go to the gym Monday through Friday, even if you don't feel like it, if you've made that commitment, you know what I'm saying? Like, you do that, and not everybody has that, but I do think you are right as far as if you have that, or if you can try to at least get some of that mentality.
Yeah, and it's like you said, a mental commitment.
Yeah.
Like, I have to decide to show up. Even if you told me, you know what, Brandon, you want to get better, go to the gym first. Guess what? Guess what happens first? I got to make the decision to go to the gym first. Or come see you. I got to make that decision to go see you. Yeah. So that's why I would say
there is a little bit, but I guess my thing is like the emotionality of like, you don't have to necessarily feel like it. Maybe that's so it's a mental commitment, and that you're like mentally committing, but like not. But people will back out of stuff because they're like, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym today. Where it's like, but if you, as opposed to like, I mentally made the commitment, so I'm going to show up even though I don't feel like it. And then how do you encourage people?
People are encouraged differently. I don't really encourage people. They pretty much encourage themselves. I just be who I am. And who I am is someone that's always going to be positive. I'm going to motivate you.
Yeah, I mean, you must encourage people, because
hold on one second. Yeah. But I'm also going to let you know when things need to be adjusted. And so when I talk about encouragement, it's not more so like you can do it all the time. Sometimes encouragement is also silence. There's times where I've had clients to where I can just go in silent, and all of a sudden a light bulb goes off, like, coach is not on my butt. Let me get back into it. Okay. And so that's what makes my business so lucrative, is that each person is different, and I handle each person differently. There's no one or right or wrong formula for each individual. So when I'm dealing with someone from a transformational side of things, I have to get to know that person. I got to feel what they're feeling and why they're there, so that I can be the best that I can be. And then from there, I can learn, are they the type of, some people don't need encouragement. Some people do. It literally depends on that personality, the history. Like, individuals like us, we've dealt with a lot of trauma. Like, you've dealt with a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
So there's things that we will be so passionate about that someone else may not be. You know what I'm saying? And we can be strongly opinionated in certain areas and certain facets. And so when I talk about encouragement, or when I'm encouraging someone, literally, it depends on what person am I encouraging, and does that person need it? Or do they need a helping hand, or do they need someone just to say, hey, we're not getting it done? There's different types of reinforcements. Because, think about this, Christine, if you look at the word encouragement, most people, when they think about encouragement, they think, oh my God, like, you can do it. You can do it. Don't give up, right? The positive mindset, right? But then you have some coaches that do that, but then their way of encouragement, the way that they reach out to motivate that individual, the way it comes off can be differently, And so if anyone that knows me as a coach, you can line up 5 people, and in a situation, right? From the fitness field and people that I've worked with. And I can take 5 different personalities, and each one of those personalities can give you a different vision on how I work with them.
No, I get that.
You
So,
know?
yeah, I think I'm a little bit more I think I don't think I have as much variability in what I do. And that I'm like, I do feel very much like I want to speak life into people. I also want accountability. So you're on the weight loss program, you're going to show up weekly, we're going to get on a scale, right? Like, so like but I do like, and I understand, and I think women and men are different creatures and different how they treat, how like we're different in that how you would encourage or teach is going to be different than if, like a woman. And this is when you're surrounded by different people. I was just going to say, like, when I have different people, sometimes it's really hard to make behavioral changes. And one thing that I tell people, and I'm just sharing this with you as just like a friend, this isn't like anything, is that I always tell people, and I've done a lot of research on like neurobiology and behavioral changes, and why is it so hard for us to make behavioral changes, right? Like I have interest in it, even for myself. Like I know this way didn't work, but then like I'll want to revert back. Like why am I when I know? Because there is part of us, and this is what I tell my patients, especially my really like obese patients or patients that really are really struggling to make this behavioral changes, is that okay? So you're 45 years old and you're 350 pounds. So there's part of you that has basically like there's a part of your brain that basically is like, I've kept this person alive for 45, for years at 350. And we've kept them alive, and they're and the brain is like eating this way, blah, 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 doing these different things that are bad. So when you try to make behavioral changes, there is a part of the brain, and there's like a lot of science behind it that will be like, wait a second, these drugs, this sex, this whatever, these kind of bad behaviors we've done before, and it's kept us, alive. And it takes a lot of time. It can be done, but to basically retrain the brain that like, wait a second, even though I'm alive, those are like not good behaviors that we have to change. And I always like tell people to just kind of give themselves grace too, because when they're having trouble, like, reverting back, that's part of like
as a coach, you want people to know
yeah.
that, and that's what makes coaching, because you want people to know that you're a real person, they're real people, we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Every day's not going to be a glorious day.
Yes.
There's going to be times where we'll be on the wagon or off the wagon. But to me, the key is consistently. You can keep consistently showing up on those good days and those bad days.
Yeah.
And also, can you consistently show up during different seasons of your life when you're going through a lot of different mental challenges, whether it be physical, emotional, or social? Are you really, honed in on just, some days, I mean, I've struggled with depression in my life, and there'll be days where I didn't want to get out of bed. I would just want to just shut down, and my comfort zone was being inside my house. But to consistently take a step, like today, I may not want to wake up, but I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the refrigerator. Now tomorrow I'm going to go to the refrigerator, then I'm going to go outside and taking steps, right? And I think that the good thing about my company is that it's level up, but we take levels, we take steps.
That's really good.
So when clients come in for the first time, they'll be on level 1, and there's clients to where on day 1, we start the meal plan, we start rolling, and then there's clients after the meeting, I say, okay, we're not going to start the meal plan yet. The only thing we're going to focus on this month is making appointments. So knowing each person to me, I think is very really important, because there's times where you have to give grace to people, because for them to even walk in your door, whether it be to take a peptide, whether it be to do a workout, to them to make the decision that I'm going to change something about me today is a big deal, and so having grace to me in that area is very important. So during that time in which you meet with them, I try to really be a thorough listener and really feel that person, because you have to, because it's so serious, health and fitness now, and being able to make these decisions and make these changes, because you're here to change lives. I mean, let's face it.
Sure.
At the end of the day, you're here to change lives. No matter how good you look, no matter how much weight you lose, no matter how appealing you may be, you want to change your life.
For sure.
And make a change that gives you more a feeling of positivity, like another notch on your belt.
No, for sure. So you've been very successful and been able to stay in the game for over 20 years. What has made you successful, and why have you been able to not quit?
Because of the simple fact that I love what I do and I have a passion for helping people.
Okay.
I love it. It's like, to me, like it's like teaching school. You keep showing up for those kids, and those kids might, some days you're like, oh my God, but I keep wanting to show up. And And so this saved my life, it saved my life to the point to where I knew that if I didn't fulfill my career playing football, that this could be something I can do, and
That's
no matter
super
how
cool.
much money I make, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
And so just to love that drive, and there's days to where I need my clients more than they need me. I need to be accountable. I need to be held accountable. There's days where I don't want to go. But guess what?
You got
I have to show up, and I got a bunch of people waiting on me. And at 9 o'clock, I got 15 people that's looking at me to walk in that door. So no matter what I'm going through that day, it doesn't matter. I got to get to that 9.
Yeah.
And most of the time, if I can just get to that 9 o'clock or that 5 or that 6, after that first one, I realize like, oh man, I'm okay.
I can relate to that too.
Yeah. And so it's so
like in bed, like I ain't gonna make it tomorrow.
Yeah,
I got 40 people
and so
on,
when you're,
and then like somehow I get there.
Yeah, and when you're in that
starts
type of
rolling, and I'm like, I got it.
Especially being in that type of a leadership position, because like there are people that are getting up that said, "Man, I had a rough day. Man, I know coach is gonna help me. Let me just get the coach. Let me just get to Christine.
I know,
she's gonna
and
make
that's
me laugh."
the thing
like,
too. Yeah, and Izzy, like, there's a couple patients, and they'll just be like, "You guys are like the highlight of our week," and I'm like, "That's such a blessing." Like, I don't even. I mean, that's it's like I don't even. It almost makes me feel bad, because I'm like, but that's what, it's a positive thing too. But I know people speak the world about you. What's a surprise people, or what's something surprising about your daily routine? Would you say?
It's very routine. It is very routine.
That's not surprising to me. That's how you make it work.
But as energetic as I am,
because you get probably a good formula, and you gotta.
And as energetic as I am, I typically always take a power nap every day.
That's wild. That's surprising to me. That's surprising that it's part of your routine.
So every day,
wow. What's
between maybe 1 and 3, I have to do a power nap because
that's so cool.
It resets me, because I give so much from 6 a.m. to 12
makes sense.
and my energy levels. So I like to reset before I take the afternoon wave because I want them
it makes
to
sense.
have the best of me too.
That's
so
cool.
A lot of people don't know it's night time, even if it's 15 minutes. Yeah, I have to do it.
That's
my food
so
and my
cool.
nap. I've
never been able to nap. So that's super cool, though. I like that a lot.
To be able to shut my mind off for a minute, because think about dealing with all these people every day, and if I have 20, 30 clients texting me in the mornings when I wake up, so now I'm boom, 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 boom. I have to shut it down and reset. Yeah. This brain is ADHD. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. So I have to line it up as much as I can so that in the afternoon appointments, like I'm ready to go, like I like to walk in like, man, he looks refreshed at this time of the day. So
that's cool. I don't do that, but everyone that's like in my inner circle knows I'm like a super early bed person, like 8 p.m. early. So I get up super early and then I'm like clocked out super.
And I'm a robot.
Okay,
so I can lay down at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. and go, or I can lay down at 12 and wake up at 3.
So I'm like, so that's the one thing.
If my time is here, I got to be up at this time, then that's the time it's done. No matter what happens, whether I sleep, whether I don't, it doesn't matter. I got to be ready to go at that time. So
what do you think is something that's like toxic or not that it is, but possibly toxic or misunderstood about the fitness industry?
I you know what? Honestly, I've never really thought about it in that depth as far as toxicity with the fitness industry. I don't know. Like I've never really went there as far as like what's misunderstood about it, because it's pretty now, because there's so much knowledge on it. Even if you're not in the fitness industry, you have so much knowledge on it that to misunderstand it now is a different question than what it was 15 years ago.
Okay.
Because before they thought, when you think about the gym, that it's just about lifting all these weights, right? And that's one thing that is misunderstood, like where people think that if, just because I'm a muscular guy or a muscular coach, I don't want to go there because I don't want to lift all them weights. Okay. And so a good coach is going to customize everything you're doing per your body type.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people can get misled by muscles and think that the way to get muscles or the way to look a certain way, you have to lift a certain amount of weight or you have to do this or do that. And one thing that I've learned about the fitness industry is that there's no right or wrong way to get to that bottom line, which is to get healthy. And now you might have some consequences that come with those choices, right? But there's no magic formula, because at the end of the day, even if you took, like, let's say like you've been in your business forever, right? And one of the things that we talked about is peptides versus working out. right?
I don't think it's versus. I think both
Right.
need to get done. Yeah,
Correct.
100%.
So we
Yeah.
talk about peptides versus working out, and even that you cannot have one without the other.
Correct.
You
And
know
if you
what I'm
were to
saying?
have just
And so-
one, I would say work out over the peptides.
Correct.
I mean, they're both in my
Right,
opinion, they're both important. Yeah.
but to gain that balance,
100%.
you know what I'm saying, is very important. So, one of the things that people misunderstand is like there's no like this is the way, or you sometimes you meet people that say, well, such and such told me I shouldn't do that, or John told me I shouldn't be doing this, or Steven said I shouldn't do this, right?
Yeah.
For each, always remember, to me, I could tell people out there, always remember, everybody's different. Know yourself, understand your background, know your history, and also if you're dealing with a coach or a person of interest that you're going to seek out for your health goals as far as leadership, understand the passion and know the passion of that person. And so if you do that, then most of the time that coach or that leader is coming from a good place. And based on experience, and if they do have experience, now, oh my God, I'm like 25 years in this.
Yeah.
You would know that they are based on statistics.
No, it's interesting when I just the question of toxicity was, I've had some people that I know that did like the hard 75, and I like the guy that what's his name, Fresha. I don't know, but I see his little things. So I was kind of feeling like I was a little bit off of like working out as much as I wanted to, and I did a couple things on social media, like has anyone done it? And then I like use ChatGPT a lot, so I was like, should I do it? But then, and I'm not knocking it because people have had good experiences, but then like really my ChatGPT was like, these are the positives. The bad things are like it can lead to burnout because it's like if you miss one day, you restart. And I realized for myself, I was thinking if I do a hard 75, it's going to get me back in my my routine, but I'm like, what I probably can do is just like work really hard to get back in my routine without, the hard 75. And I think, again, I'm not knocking the hard 75, but it's a lot like what this is like, it's more than just working out, but it's like if you miss one day, you've got to like restart. And it's a thing which I think could be very positive for a lot of people to try to like mind over matter. But like for me, I was just trying to like get back, healthy again. So when I researched it more, I'm like, I don't think this like challenge is the right challenge for me at this time. I'm just trying to get back. And for me, what's always worked is actually having some grace and like writing all my workouts and like all my goals daily down. Like, and I try to do it month by month, my goals for like, so like even like my fitness goals where I'm going to work out. And for me, what's always worked, and everybody's different, is writing it on a calendar, because if I miss a day, I have like the next day already scheduled. So I don't end up derailing because I'm like that, like it's on the schedule.
So was hard 75 hard for you?
I never did it.
Okay, so you never gave it a
chance. I never tried it. I was thinking about trying it, and then when I was reading about it, I was like, my goal was just basically getting back into like a really like good regime. But what's worked for me, and which I'm doing again right now, is that so I have I have like every day or written out or on my phone what I'm gonna do tomorrow for like about a month at a time. And what works is I try to stick to that, right? But what helps me is if I mess up, if I have a bad day, if I'm not feeling good and I don't adhere to it, I don't completely derail, because on my calendar, on my schedule, I have the next day, everything I'm going to do workout. So it's easier, at least for me, to get back on the wagon. So that's what's usually when I'm in a really good, like healthy mind frame, working out regularly and things, is I just have it super scheduled, because God forbid I have a really bad day or I can't do it. I don't completely stop because I missed, I missed today. I just get back on it.
You're thinking about the reset mechanism of it, of hard 75, because you keep going back to, if I miss a day, I got to start over. If I miss today, I got to start over.
Yeah, and I was like, that's not really like for me. Like,
and I think that's cool, like miss a day to start over. But at the same time, sorry to interrupt you, but at the same token, even if you if you take the idea starting over out of your mind, and I've had people that have quote unquote done the hard 75. I have clients that's done it, blah blah blah. But if you take the idea of starting over out of your mind, and just if I miss a day, I just miss a day, but I'm still doing the hard 75, and so you still go to 75, and even with the days that you've missed, you just count them as a gain, and then if you choose to make them up on the back end, that's your choice.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think just more so the approach, but either way it goes, like you hit the nail on the head where you talk about routine, and you already are doing a hard 75, because what you started to do is you started to now understand yourself, know yourself, and then develop your routine on how you're going to do your hard 75. So I think wouldn't that be great if they called it your hard 75, and then you actually wrote down the way you know, the way
Yeah,
you want
that's
to
where
do
it
the
was
75,
like, yeah, and I because
and then commit to it and write it down.
it's interesting because I was gonna do it, but then, because ChatGPT kind of gets to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like, I don't think this is gonna be good for you.
Yeah,
compared to all with your regime and your everything,
Yeah,
and like
so,
hey, you want to rest a little bit on Sunday, I don't know if this is gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
but I agree
again,
with you.
yeah, it's like what your hard
so,
75 looks like.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do your hard.
Yeah,
75.
right, exactly.
Right.
So what is the hard? If you feel like sharing this, what was the hardest season of your life, and how did it shape you?
You know what? The hardest season of my life was probably when I really started to hone in on my mental health and like started to hone in like the things that happened to me when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that was a season of that. And so, your mind, as your mind matures, you reach a certain age to where you start to identify your past because you start to understand yourself more, so your identity is easier. So as you know yourself more, it's easier to identify what led to who you are today. And so once I started to really identify that and acknowledge it, and then also confront and and also deal with all the emotional difficulties of what it brought, I think that was one of the hardest seasons of my life because I had to literally cleanse my mind again.
Yeah, that is
I had
tough.
to, and I also had to dig up my past.
Yeah.
And just like when I wrote the book Believe and Conquer.
Yeah. How did that change you?
It took me about 2 years to write it because I would write a chapter, but then I could go into a headspace to where I had to emotionally get myself back together.
PTSD that would come.
And
sure.
And I think that was, but like it was one of the greatest things that I've done. Because as you write about yourself too, it also gives you a sense of comfort. And if anybody's a writer, when you go in that euphoria of writing, it's such a peaceful thing when you go into that peace to where it's just you and in your mind, you're able to collect those thoughts. You really get deep in your craft. So because I was in that hard season in my life of identify, and I started writing that book, it balanced it and it gave me that comfort so that I could identify but also put a purpose behind it.
That's really cool.
And then from there I was able to self-reflect and also rehabilitate my own mental health that way.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And knowing and understanding how I was able, or me and God, I would say God, through the help of God, I was able to take those two components and put them together like that. I think it was huge. And I encourage, people out there sometimes to figure out.
So who should read the book?
Who should read it?
I mean, I'm sure everyone.
That's like everyone, right? That's like everyone. That's that, and I really think that. But honestly, even for people that struggle with a lot of mental health and a lot of things that they can't get past, and struggles, that's the things that they've happened and tragic in their past, whether it be loss of loved ones, whether it be drugs, alcohol, addictions, whether it be abuse, anything that you cannot get past, and you remember in that childhood, or it shaped you, or it's actually, or you're battling it now as an adult. I think that book is very helpful, and especially with men, because with men, a lot of men are scared to be vulnerable. I think it's like a masculinity pride thing, regardless of what it is. I think that men should read it too, because I think it does help with a lot of vulnerability, and then women that have really struggled with like abuse and having to overcome things, I think they should, read that too. So.
And is there something you do like daily or weekly, things that like you kind of are cognitively or cognizant of, to make sure to like keep your mental health as healthy as possible?
Sleep, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Sleep. I deal with my kids every day.
Okay.
Because that's my purpose. That's my why. And so when you're dealing with we're dealing with kids and stuff.
How old
kids,
are they?
5 and 3. Then my oldest son is 16.
Okay.
And
nice.
so, but when you're dealing with kids and you got that purpose, there's a sense of comfort of knowing that you have to stay grounded. You're the leader.
Yeah.
You're the leader of your flock, especially as a man. You're that lion, and you're raising that, and you're raising those kids. And so knowing that I have to be in a leadership position, that really helps me. It really does, because I understand how difficult it was for me when I didn't. It ain't that I didn't have leadership. I didn't have the greatest leadership, I would say.
Yeah.
And so I try to always keep myself as balanced as possible. Even if I'm struggling, I regain myself so that I can be present and I can be, the leader that I need to be for my children.
That's wonderful. That's really, they're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
That's very positive. What's a habit of high performers that most people ignore?
A habit of high performance?
Or performers. Or just, like successful people or high performers. What's a habit that you think that people...
Anxiety. ADHD.
Mental illness,
yes.
right? That's the...
But I think like people that operate with a high motor, I think we all can relate. We can say I got a little ADHD, I have anxiety, you know what I'm saying? And I dealt with some mental things when I was younger.
You know what's so funny is that I saw this like podcast, and it was somebody pretty like, I don't know, business famous, and they were like, what do all like successful people have in common? And it was like, there was no correlation with like monetary background, race, whatever. What they had, these two things. One was a little bit of like an inferiority complex, that they were better than other people and were like a little bit like they should be on this level. And then they also subsequently had a big inferiority in complex, that they weren't good enough, and the kind of like feeling like high, like I should be here, but then also like something from childhood being like I'm not good enough, like somehow like gave them like the battle to push them really far. So like they had like they said that was the like of all these like uber successful people, is that they had both this kind of inferior complex, but also superior complex that that would oscillate in their brain, and it kept them somehow I'm the best. I'm not, and I gotta like prove everyone that I'm not, and so keep on going. So it's like a mental illness.
Something that's kind of off topic or on topic is that when people are training, like when I know I got to get 20 extra sets out of Christina, I got to tell you, Christina, find your vice. What's your vice? What is it? You got to have a vice in there. I got to find a way to put some emotion into that workout. Once I'm able to find your vice and I'm able to grab your emotion in that workout, now I got your attention. Now we're going to change. Because it's hard for sometimes people to find their vice. Why? Because most of their vices have been buried. And so you help them to be able to accomplish that during that workout.
That's really cool.
Because you dig it out of them. And once they find that vice and they start using that vice,
so give an example of someone that has a vice and what you'd say and to push them.
There's a lot of vice, especially with athletes. You know? Remember when you didn't make the team last year?
Okay.
We're in this workout. You remember what happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you remember that? Like, I mean, you got 5 extra reps. You didn't make the team last year. Is that your advice? What are we gonna do about it this year?
That's cool. No, that's good.
Or it could be at work. Like how you told me what before the workout? Your boss is stressing you out. Really? Is he? All right. So now we're in the middle of it now. So how are we gonna get past that? Let's release that. We got to find these vices, because those vices is what, like, working out burns. It hurts. Like when you get to 12, 15 reps, you're like, oh my God, So you got to dig inside of you and figure out what, Christina, what is Brandon?
Well, no, it makes
what are
me
we going to do to get to that level?
Saying that, because that's what I always think
you understand that.
Like when I want to like quit or whatever, I always think like it's gonna make me cry.
Don't start crying. It's okay. Don't start.
But
crying.
It always makes me think like when I want to quit or like just really give up the people or like the people that have kids are gonna be like, oh, that's why she lost her kids. She can't, or she's crazy, or she's this, or she's that.
That's your advice.
That's where I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm sane. I'm strong. I'm confident. My kids need me. I'm this. I'm that. And like I'm always like in the back of my mind, like when I feel like I'm gonna crumble, I'm like, all these, hateful, horrible things people said about me. Part of it probably was true, or bad choices that I made, like, and that these consequences I had, like, no, my kids do need me, and I am healthy, and
that's
I'm
your advice.
So that's my advice. So when you said that, like, it will. I mean, it's not. I think about my kids all day, every day, but like when I'm like really like back against the wall and just like I want to like quit. There's something like makes me just want to cry. That just is like
again, we talked about
I got my kids.
Those components. We talked about anxiety. We talk about all these things, those vices.
Sorry, I get
and
emotional.
So that's where, like, if I'm in the gym, when I'm talking to clients, I start crying sometimes.
Yeah, so.
Because it means something to me. I can feel it. You know what I'm saying? So when I tell you about that vice, the reason why you're emotional, because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And it feels like you're living it, because you know exactly. I don't have to even describe what that's like.
Yeah, exactly.
And it gives you
even
chill
when I
bumps
work out, I'll sometimes
when you
do
think
that.
about that vice. Like when people think about a vice and having a vice, it gives you chill bumps. So even if you're watching this podcast, you have to ask yourself, like, what is my vice? Yeah. And if you can find that vice and you're struggling with something, you can find that vice and you can take that vice and use it as adrenaline. I guarantee you're going to be a step further to where you are going to be as far as success is concerned. And we're not talking about accolades. Success within you.
No, exactly. And even when I do like physicality workouts, I know no matter what, mentally, I can always get 3 more reps in no matter what. If I think like I'm about to like doing push-ups and be like, 1 for Max, Marco, Leo, and like no matter what, how tired I am, I can always push out 3 more if I'm like, One for one for I'm telling you, like no matter what, I can always if push really comes to shove, if you're coaching me or whatever, or sometimes like in classes where they're like 2 or even 1 more, and I'll be like I'm gonna I'm gonna die. So like that does hit home for me. I just hadn't thought of it as like the way that you're articulating it, but I definitely hits home for me.
But by bringing it up, it's like one of those things to where you're doing it. Yeah. But no one ever brought it to your attention.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, when you say it, it does.
Like, yeah.
I'm like,
I do that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like,
so that's where. Yeah.
That's
for
awesome.
sure. So that's really cool. Yeah. What do you think matters more, discipline or identity?
To me, like I don't know, like because that's like a cliche, because it is important to be disciplined, and it's also important to know yourself, and I think before you can become disciplined, you have to develop an identity about yourself of knowing you. And the reason why I say that is because like I know my struggles, right? So I know that in order to achieve X, Y, and Z, I have to become disciplined in this area because I identify what my struggles are. So I think that the identity, because you can go years and have an identity crisis. Like there are adults out there 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 years old that still haven't identified themselves. Yeah. Identified. I'm sorry, I'm so country.
No, you're
so when
good.
I talk, it's so slang. But they haven't identified themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden they're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I struggle. But then all of a sudden something happens in their life and they have to take a step back, and then they start to identify things. And then they say, well, I can't do this because I know what that causes. Or I can't drink alcohol because every time I drink alcohol, I act like this. Or I can't eat that because when I eat that, I crash here, or I can't go to this place because every time I go here, I do this. So I think identity is a very a very important term that you brought up that a lot of people lose sight of. Yeah. And I think identity is so important. I would take identity first over discipline because if I can identify, you got to identify what you have to identify yourself. Then once you develop that identity, then we can go where we need to go.
I 100% agree. I think discipline is super important for the results.
Yeah.
But the identity, and I say this too when people, when I've like gone to jail, like lost everything, like I always had such an identity and just believing in Jesus, like believing that, like just believing in Jesus and that I was like a daughter of God, and that I was like, no matter what, like Max, Marco, and Leo came for me, so I was their mother. And like I was like, when all this crazy stuff happened, like it's always in my identity, like no matter what happens, like I'm their mom, I'm God's child. And like that really, even to this day, that's why I think sometimes like with the kind of like pseudo success I've had, I can take it or leave it because I know everything's been taken from me and it didn't really break me because I know like that's not really what I want it because I want to have a nice life for my kids and my future grandchildren for sure. And I want to be a good example and I want to help my patients and I want to help my friends and family. But like, I think like identity makes a huge difference because even when I was incarcerated and stuff, people that didn't have that identity, like it gets hard.
It gets hard.
Yeah, it gets a lot. It was a lot easier.
So you definitely can understand and relate.
100%. Yeah, for sure. But the discipline, I think, to get results, you need the discipline.
Yeah.
For sure. So they're both important.
Yeah.
What area of your life are you still like leveling up or working on? Would you say?
My schedule. Like I'm every day. Like I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait until it's in my budget to hire another assistant because I used to have a really good one. They lived way far. They lived in Tennessee and they were virtual and they were still great. But oh my God, like that is I'm trying to level up every day. And I tell my clients before I start with them, the first thing I tell them, especially the ones that do like where I live at, that want me one-on-one, I'm like, listen. You got to have patience. I'm like, because there will be times where I will forget. There will be times where you have to remind me. Like, and if you want to do that, then we can talk about fitness. Because you have to understand me, because I know me, and I'm going to tell you what you're going to be frustrated with a little bit. Yeah. But I promise you, if you live through those frustrations, you're going to get far more positives than the negative, right? So if God can just help me to help me with my budget, so I can just get me another one.
No, that's so funny because I can relate to that. I had a patient the other day that's like, oh my gosh, like how do you feel to be so successful? And I'm like, I thank Jesus for all the patients in the waiting room, and I understand how you perceive that as success, and it is. However, like for me, success would be maybe having someone else see you right now. Right. But I haven't reached that level, so like I appreciate it. I'm so happy that you're here, but like,
and so that's it right there for me.
Oh my gosh. So if someone is looking to change their body, I know that you're the expert in body transformations, from the physicality point and getting bodies into shape, working out. How can they reach out to you and find you? Well, and then also for your book, where can they find
Amazon? You go to Amazon and look up Believe and Conquer.
And what we'll do too is we'll have like we'll show it. We'll link it too.
Believe and Conquer. Go to Amazon. But if they're looking to, first of all, you can go on my website, levelupfitnessjax.com, and schedule a free consultation.
Okay, perfect.
But I always encourage people to follow Level Up Fitness Jax on Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
Only because there's so much content up there of me talking, of me training, like, so they can really kind of hone in on the experience a little bit before the experience. And it's always interesting to get people to leave me a review after they get through working with me. After a month or two, I always request reviews, or 3 or 4 months, because I always like to know like what they saw versus what they experienced. You know what I mean? I think that's cool. I like for people to go up there and know that. Sometimes I want people to know that like you're not just coming to see an average coach. Like this is my path. This is what I do. Like and
that's why you've been in the game so long.
And that's where we're going at a high level.
Exactly. You probably have a little like OCD too, the obsessive.
No, like, but I want that workout right. I want that workout right. You know, like I want them extra sets. Like some like I get excited, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like if you come into my gym and you look good today, and I'm like, dang, you're looking good. Yeah. You look like, oh, I can see the change. Okay, now let's go harder. Okay, now let's go here. Yeah. Now let's do that. Now let's do that. Because the more I feed off of that. I feed off the energy of a client. That synergy is very important.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You know what I'm saying? I got to have it. You know, like so when you're in that gym and you know when you come in there, we gotta get it done.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's my OCD. So it's like the accountant. You remember the movie The Accountant?
I don't think I saw that.
Was it Ben Affleck? Is that how you say his name?
Ben Affleck.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he had to finish like he was an accountant. You gotta watch that movie.
Okay.
But that's how it is. Like I gotta give you a back workout.
You gotta get. All right, that's awesome. So I ask all my guests the same final 2 questions, and the first one is it talks about in Psalms that a man without a vision perishes. I think it's really important. Mental health wise, I always say this. I think a lot of suicides are because people just don't have a vision. Like they just cannot see whatever they're going. Like there's just no vision for a future. So I think that, in my opinion, that God, gave us visions. It's important that we have visions and purpose. What is your 5-year vision?
Well, my 5-year vision, honestly, is to have my company on a much higher level. And so within 5 years, I plan to expand my company at some capacity. I feel like the brand, that I put together is very unique, and not just because of fitness. I think because of what it stands for, to believe and conquer, never give up on yourself.
Yeah, no, I love that.
I look at it as also like a temple for change. And I feel like as I orchestrate and I get the company much smoother as far as like the little bells and whistles and the things around the engine that need to come in play, I feel like my company is a company that needs to expand in different areas of the community, and not more so nationally, but really just even if it's just more so like locally, because to never give up on yourself and to level up, I think that's something that's going to go into the test of time, and I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in it, because it means everything to me, and I want people to remember that legacy more than I do me. It's all about a legacy to me. It's not more so about having multiple companies, but the legacy that I want to leave behind.
I can feel that too. Izzy knows that. That's
and
cool.
I think that's pretty much where I'm at.
That's awesome. And then final question is there a quote or phrase that you live by? And if you don't live by it, it's just a quote or phrase that you like.
Yeah, I actually just said it.
Okay.
Never give up on yourself.
Okay.
That is my phrase. Yeah, and I think
awesome.
that's important. Like, God, man, you're going to go through some challenges. I mean, every year it's a different year. Every year you're like, this is going to be the year.
Yeah.
But each year you can never give up on yourself.
No, I love that.
You got to keep showing up.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a book by this physician who was a a drug addict herself, like in medical school and everything, and like her first like chapter is like, congratulations, you're still alive, like, which is, you're still here, and basically that, just don't ever give up. So I agree, and thank you so much for being a guest. Problem. And if y'all are looking to get in shape, this is your man. He will help you, and read his book too. All right, thanks for watching.
Be ready to work.